Concept of compound interest. Earlier I explained you the topic of simple interest. Now after that we will try to discuss the concept of compound interest. Before moving further, before telling you the basic formulas and basic things, I just want to show where the difference starts between the simple interest and compound interest, so that it helps you in generating some of the basic concepts, some of the basic outputs from the interrelation between simple interest and compound interest. I am going to start with an example. Suppose principal is 1000, rate of interest is 10% per annum. First I make a table for simple interest. The first column stands for the principal. Second column stands for simple interest in a year. Third column stands for total simple interest in given time period. Fourth column stands for amount. Similarly, I will also draw a table for compound interest also. The first column talks about principal. Second column talks about compound interest in a year, and third column is total compound interest, and last one is amount. Now take an example. Suppose principal is 1000 and rate of interest is 10%. When I take the case of principal simple interest, I can say I can take principal is 1000, interest in first year is 10% of this 100, total interest at the end of first year is 100, and amount becomes 1100. In simple interest, as I earlier told you, principal will always remain same. It means my principal will same as 1000, interest in second year is 100, and 2-year interest is 200, and amount becomes 1200. Similarly, in third year, principal will remain same 1000, simple interest in third year is 100, total simple interest in 3 year is 300, and amount is 1300. So that table states us some general things about simple interest. Means principal remains same for every year. Simple interest earned on the principal is always same. And total simple interest increases at the same rate. Means if it in first year it is 100, in the second year it becomes 200, in the third year it is 300. But when I take this problem in compound interest, means when the question is totally same, principal is 1000 and rate of interest is 10%, but interest is compounded. In the first year my principal is 1000. My first year I will take interest on this 1000, that is rupees 100. Total compound interest is 100 and amount is 1100. So what I can infer out here, the first property that I can say, for the first year, simple interest is always equal to compound interest. For the first year, SI is always equal to CI, because we have to take interest on the principal, that is 100. Now for the second year, as we know in compound interest, you also get interest on interest. Means for the second year, this 1100 now becomes my amount, because that 1100 includes that 1000 my principal as well as 100 my compound interest. Now I will get also on principal as well as on interest. Now 10% of this 110, total interest in 2 years is 210, or I can say my total amount is 1210. Now for the third year, my amount becomes 1210. I get 10% interest of it, that is 121. Total compound interest in 3 years 210 plus 121 331 and my amount is 1331. What I have done here now, where the difference starts between SI and CI, for the first year that is same, from the second year my total simple interest was 200 in 2 years, but my total compound interest in 2 years was 210. The difference is log rupees 10, right? So I will draw some more properties out of this. Compound interest earned in a particular year. In first year it is 100, second year earning is 110, third year is 121. Means I can say earning increases by 10%, that is by rate of interest percent. So second property we can say in compound interest earned in 2 consecutive years increases by R%. In compound interest earned in 2 consecutive years increases by R%. Third property, when we look at the amount, my first year amount is 1100, second year is 1210, third year is 1331. From here what I can say, that increases by 10%, this also increases by 10%. Means from 1100 to 1210, that is increment of 10%. From 1210 to 1331, that is also increase of 10%. So what I can say, in compound interest, in case of compound interest, amount in 2 consecutive years also increases by R%. Means from 1100 to 1210, from 1210 to 1331, that always increases by R%. So these are some basic properties that we can infer from this table. We will start with some of the basic questions based on this. Suppose if I say simple interest for 2 years on a certain sum, simple interest for 2 years is rupees 200. On the same sum, compound interest for 2 years is rupees 220. Question is find the rate of interest percent. Pay attention here what the question talks about. Simple interest for 2 years on a certain sum is rupees 200. Compound interest for 2 years on the same sum is rupees 220. I have to find out what is the rate of interest percent. Now when I look at this question, by applying my first property, I know that first year simple interest is equal to compound interest and simple interest is equal in all the years. It means if for 2 years my simple interest is 210, for first year it is 100, for second year it is also 100 because that is for 2 years. For first year my simple interest is 100 and for second year that is also 100. When I take the case of compound interest, I know that for the first year simple interest is equal to compound interest, that is 100. In 2 years my total compound interest is rupees 220. It means in the second year my compound interest is rupees 120. Now what I can say, in first year it is 100 and in second year it is 120. I stated here compound interest in 2 consecutive years increases by R%. What does it mean? Now it becomes from 100 to 120. It means that increases by 20%, and I know the property that increases by R%. So I can say the rate of interest percent is equal to 20%. That becomes my answer. Try to understand it again. What is given to us? 2 year simple interest is given rupees 200. 2 year compound interest is given rupees 220. So what I can say, 2 year simple interest is 200, for the first year 100 and second year is 100. 2-year compound interest is given as 220. We know that for the first year SI is same as to CI 100, and for the second year my compound interest earning would be 120. In 2 consecutive years interest always increases by R%. So I can say from 100 to 120 it increases by 20%. So my rate of interest is equal to 20%. I hope the question is clear to you. Similarly, I can take one more example in order to understand these properties. If it is given that compound interest earned in third year is rupees 2000, compound interest earned in fourth year is rupees 2200, find rate of interest percent. I know that compound interest earned in 2 consecutive years increases by R%. It means what is the percentage change? 10%, or my answer is equal to rate of interest is 10%. Right? So that is a basic understanding that states us what is the difference between SI and CI, how they will change, and what do you mean by the compound interest. I hope this is clear to you. After understanding of this, now we will start with compound interest with formula wise as well as different type of problems. Basic terms: principal, rate of interest, always as per annum, timings, always in the years. Here we have the formula for amount, that is equal to principal into 1 plus R upon 100 raised to power T, and if you have to find the compound interest, this is amount R upon 100 raised to power T minus principal. This portion is taken as compound interest. What I can say, P stands for the principal, rate of interest stands for the time, rate of interest is per annum, timing is always given in the years, amount is P into 1 plus R upon 100 raised to power T, and CI is P into 1 plus R upon 100 raised to power T minus P, that is taken as the compound interest. Before going over these questions, one thing is required from your side. Remember these basic calculations that helps you in solving the questions. 1.1 square, this is always equal to 1.21. 1.1 cube, this is 1.331. 1.1 raised to power 4, 1.4641. 1.2 square, 1.44. 1.2 cube, 1.728. 1.3 square, 1.69. 1.3 cube, 2.197. 21 square is always equal to 441. 21 cube, this is equal to 9261. Why I am just asking these things to be cramped? Suppose in a question, if I say rate of interest is 5% and timing is 3 years. So what you are supposed to do? Principal into 1 plus 5 by 100 raised to power 3. What you are supposed to do? P into 1 plus 5 by 100 raised to power 3. Now when you solve it, 5 will go on 20. This becomes P into 1 plus 20, 1 plus 1 upon 20 raised to power 3, or else I can say P into 21 upon 20. Now I know the 21 cube is 9261, so I can simply say P into 9261 upon 8000. Means these all points are used when rate of interest is 10%, you make it as 1 plus 10 by 100. that is 1.1. Either timing is 2 years, you have to make the square, 3 years we have to make the cube, 4 years we have to make the power 4, and this process goes on. To remember these calculations, now I am going to start with the different type of problems. The first type of problem from where we start with this topic, that is time. Time is always taken in the years, but when it is not given in the years, means some months are there. In that case, what is the process to deal? That's a very important thing here. Suppose if I say principal is rupees 10,000, rate of interest is 20% per annum, timing is 2 years and 6 months, and we have to find out amount where interest is compounded annually. Question is, we have to find out amount where interest is compounded annually. Principal is given, rate of interest is given, timing is given in years and months, amount find करना है where interest is compounded annually. If I have to answer any question based on this type, how I can answer it? What is the process? For 2 years it is same, principal into 1 plus 20 upon 100 raised to power 2. There is no change in this. For these 6 months, I will convert these 6 months as a fraction in years, that is 6 by 12, that is taken as 1 by 2. 6 upon 12 is 1 by 2. So what I will do, I will take the rate of interest for 6 months, means I will make it as 1 by 2. 1 plus 20 upon 100 into 1 by 2 and power is equal to 1. Means what does it mean? Suppose if here I have 4 months in place of 6, if I have 4 months, then what will I do? I make it as 4 by 12, that is 1 by 3, and how I put it here? 10,000, 1 plus 20 upon 100 raised to power 2 into 1 plus 20 upon 100 into 1 by 3 raised to power 1, and our answer. I hope got the idea. Means in compound interest, when rate of interest is given per annum, in every question you will find rate of interest as a per annum. When you take the time, and time is not given in years, it is given in years plus months. So how you will deal with these type of questions? You simply make it as t equal to 2 years and 6 months. So I make it as 6 upon 12. That would be 2 years will be complete, and now I have 1 by 2 years, so I will convert my rate of interest 20% to half, 20 into 100 into 1 by 2, power should be 1. On the other hand, when I take it as 4 months, in that case I will take it as 4 by 12, that would be 1 by 3, and I will make my rate of interest to be 1 plus 20 into 1 by 3 raised to power 1, and it becomes my answer. I hope the point is clear. That is first type of problem that deals with how to convert the time, how to deal with the time when it is not given in the total years, when it is given in the fractions. In the second type problem, we take it as where different rate of interests for different years, where we have different rate of interest for different years. Suppose principal is 10,000, it is given that for first 2 years rate of interest is 10%, for next 1 year rate of interest is 20%, for next 1 year rate of interest is 25%. I have to find out at compound interest what will be the amount after 5 years. What will be amount after 5 years? That is the statement. Sorry, after 4 years, because total timing is 4 years, I have to find the amount. Now, when I have to answer these type of questions, we can use a standard formula, principal P, R1 and T1, R2 and T2, R3 and T3, that we have earlier done in the simple interest, but in that case we take it as 1 plus R1 upon 100 raised to power T1 into 1 plus R2 by 100 raised to power T2 into 1 plus R3 by 100 raised to power T3, right? And then solve it and you get your answer. That is the formula for amount. Now in this question, what is given to me? My principal is given as 10,000. What I will do, I will put here my principal 10,000. 1 plus 10 upon 100, timing is 2 years, power is 2. Then for next 1 year rate of interest is 20%. I make it 1 plus 20 by 100 raised to power 1. Similarly, for next 1 year rate of interest is 25%. 1 plus 25 by 100, power is 1. I have to solve it. This is 10,000 into 1.21 into, I will make it as 1 6 by 5, and this would be 1 by 4, that would be 5 by 4. We try to multiply this will be cancelled out, or else I can say 120 upon 100, 2 zeros will be cancelled out, that would be 4, it will go on 25, then 25 into 6, 150 into 121, my answer is 0, 15, 5, carry 1, 30, 31, 3, 15, 3, 18. So I can say my total amount becomes rupees 18,150, that's my answer. I hope the point is clear. When rate of interest is different for different years, in that case, what you are expected to do, you have to simply put your value in such a way, amount is always equal to principal into 1 plus R1 upon 100 raised to power T1 into 1 plus R2 upon 100 raised to power T2 into 1 plus R3 upon 100 raised to power T3. Solve it and finally you get your answer, that is 18,150. I hope this is clear. Now after this, we are going to discuss the third type of problems. In each question of compound interest, how you come to know whether it is a question of compound interest? In each question you find it is mentioned that interest is compounded. In every question it is mentioned that interest is compounded. Sometime it is mentioned interest is compounded annually. In some questions it is mentioned compounded half yearly, compounded quarterly, compounded after every month, or compounded after every moment, or we can say infinitely. Pay attention here. This point deals with, it depends on compounding of interest. Sometimes you will find interest is compounded annually. In some questions it is compounded half yearly. In some questions it is compounded quarterly, or after every month, or after every moment. When we have to answer any question based on this type, for our basic formula annually, we take it as P into 1 plus R upon 100 raised to power T. For taking as annually, we take it as P into 1 plus R upon 100 raised to power T. When we say interest is compounded half yearly, by half yearly means we get interest after every 6 months. By the term half yearly means we get interest after every 6 months. What does it mean? It simply means now I get interest for double of the time, because in 1 year I will get the interest for 2 times. So what I will do here, I will simply make it as P into my rate of interest will become for 6 months. I have to make my rate of interest to be half and timing to be twice. So that I have to make it 2t. When I say interest is compounded quarterly, quarterly means I have to take that interest in every 3 months. So what I will make P into 1 plus R upon 100 into 1 by 4, power is 4 into t. Why? Because here my rate of interest in after every 3 months, now I know that in 1 year I get the interest for 4 times, so I will make my time to be 4 times and the rate of interest should be 1 by 4. If I say after every month, in the case of the every month, I can say I will get interest for 12 times in a year. I make it as P into 1 plus R by 100 into 1 by 12 and power should be 12 into t. And one very important question here that you generally don't find in the books, that is after every moment. So after every moment we have a standard formula. Amount is equal to P into e raised to power t into R upon 100. What this formula talks about? P into e raised to power t into R upon 100. E is known as exponential. E is known as exponential. Whose approximate value is 2.7. But when you have a question of this type, 99% chances are there it will be mentioned as the value of E, because in some books we take 2.7. For getting more exact value 2.78. It means when you have a question based on compounded after every moment, you will find this formula P into e raised to power t into R upon 100. I hope this is clear. It is very easy to remember. When half yearly, rate of interest be half and time will be twice. When quarterly, rate of interest will be 1 by 4 and time would be 4 times. When every month, rate of interest should be 1 by 12 and time should be 12 times. Or when I say after every moment, P into e raised to power t into R upon 100. Now we solve some questions based on this. It is given that principal is 10,000, rate of interest is 20% per annum, interest is compounded half yearly, interest is compounded half yearly, we have to find the amount. So what I will do, 10,000 into 1 plus 20 by 100, it is given that interest is compounded half yearly. I will make my rate of interest to be 1 by 2 and I have to find it for 2 years. Suppose the question is find the interest amount for 2 years. My timing is 2. I will make the double of this. So that would be 10,000 into 1.1 raised to power 4. My answer is 14641 rupees. That becomes your answer. In starting, I have told you these type of calculations will assist you at number of places where you have to answer it. So I can say that 1.1 raised to power 4, we can say that is 1.4641 multiplied by 10,000, that tells me 14641. I hope this is clear. One more question. It is given that principal is 10,000. Rate of interest is 20% per annum. Interest is compounded quarterly. Interest is compounded quarterly. And we have to find out amount after 9 months. Pay attention here. What the question talks about. My principal is 10,000. Rate of interest is 20% per annum and interest is compounded quarterly. I have to find out amount in 9 months. Now when I look at this question, what I will say, principal is 10,000. Rate of interest is 20% compounded quarterly, means I have to make it 1 by 4. So it should be 10,000 into 1 plus 20 upon 100 into 1 by 4. Now the problem is my timing is 9 months. So I will just try to take quarterly means for 3 months. In 9 months, how many quarters I have? 3 quarters. So I will make my power to be 3. Just solve it. 25, it would be 10,000 into 1 plus 1 by 20 raised to power 3, or that would be 21 upon 20. I told you in starting that would be 10,000 into 9261 upon 8,000. Just solve it and you get your answer. Try to understand it again. When I say interest is compounded quarterly and time period is 9 months, so I can simply take it as quarterly means 1 upon 4, that takes me as 5%, right? And then 9 months, I know that in every 3 months there is a 1 quarter. For 9 months, number of quarters are 3. So it should be taken as 10,000 into 9261 upon 8,000. Just solve it and you get your answer. So that is our type in which we have understood that when interest is compounded half yearly or quarterly, what is the process to answer these type of questions. After this, we have fourth type problem. Suppose it is given that a sum amounts to twice in 3 years at compound interest. A sum amounts to twice in 3 years at compound interest. In how many years it becomes 8 times at same rate of interest. Question is, in how many years it becomes 8 times at same rate of interest? We have two approaches. The first one is we can go with the standard concept. That is, I can say if principal is P, amount is A, so I can say a sum amounts to twice. That means if P is the principal, amount becomes 2P. P into 1 plus R by 100 raised to power 3. Or else I can say 2 equal to 1 plus R upon 100 raised to power 3. Now I want to make my sum to be 8 times, means I have to be here at 8P and it should be P. For that I have to make a cube of this, so I can make it as 2 cube. If I make here cube, the 1 plus R upon 100 raised to power 3, I have to make a cube of here like 3. In the indices I told you, when you have a bracket like this, it means it will be multiplied. Or else I can say 2 cube equal to 1 plus R upon 100 raised to power 9. Or I can say in 9 years, it becomes equal to 8 times. That's my answer. In 9 years I can say the same amount becomes 8 times. Now we can have one shortcut method for this. Suppose it is given that a sum becomes m times in t years. It becomes n times in t1 years at compound interest, and it becomes n times in t2 years at compound interest. I have to find the value of t2. If the question is sum becomes m times in t1 years, in how many years it becomes m times? So how I can answer these type of questions? Very simple. Make it as m raised to power 1 upon t1 equal to n raised to power 1 upon t2. Find the value of the missing term. For example, in this question, value of m is 2, t is 3. T1 is 3. So I can make it as 2 raised to power 1 by 3. Here the value of n is 8 and I have to find the value of T2, 1 upon T2. So what I can say, it is 2 raised to power 1 by 3. This is 2 raised to power 1 by 3 T2. 2 raised to power 1 by 3 T2, right? What I can say here, right? Now just solve it. When we have to solve these type of questions, so what I can say, I just make my value equal to 1 upon 3, that would be 2 cube, that would be 3 by T2. So I can make this to equal 1 by 3 equal to 3 by T2 or T2 equal to 9. That 9 years becomes my answer. I hope this point is clear to you. Point is very simple. You are just supposed to put this question in such a way. For first case it becomes double, means 2 raised to power 1 by 3. In the second case we have to make it as 8 times and we have to find the value of the time. So I make it as 2 raised to power 1 by 3 equal to 8 raised to power 1 upon T2. By just comparing these two values, I can find the value of T2, that is equal to 9 years. So these type of questions can be answered by applying this approach and you can easily get your answer.